So what are we here to talk about? Joy. And we have Joy sitting right over there. So today we're just going to gossip today. We're going to talk about Joy's life. And what we're going to do is we're going to take her life and we're going to make it our life. And we're going to uncover this idea. So what is joy? Because before we can explore an idea, we've got to identify, what does joy mean? Joy is not the feeling we receive when we've done something that makes us smile. Joy is not the idea that happens when we've heard a great joke and we laugh hysterically. Joy is the essence and allness of the divine when it becomes so conscious in us that we live in a state of perfect wholeness. So what does it mean to be in wholeness? Wholeness means to be in the midst of everything. Did you hear that? It means to be in the midst of everything with no judgment. But we are in the midst of everything. We are in Logos. We are in a state of perfect divine balance, where we see that which we may not approve, we see that which we desire, and we understand that there's always a balance in the universe, and we live from that place. There's no difference than how a child would live. Because in the life of a child, when you watch the child, you could be scolding that child as a parent, and the next minute that child is out embracing the world, laughing, creating, stepping into its magnificence. It has never let the scolding at that point bother it. It accepts it just as, oh, it was in that moment, and it's gone on to the next. You see how there was no judgment. It's only through conditioning over and over and over again that we get to the place that all of a sudden we get stuck in wanting only the good feelings. We get stuck remembering the past and locking ourselves into more of the past. But you see, in life, there must always be balance. And when there's balance, there's joy. The interesting thing is we seek love. Isn't love being in the balance? Isn't unconditional love caring for someone, regardless of what that situation may be, in what we would call their dark times and in their light times? So love doesn't change there. So what is it then to be in harmony? Harmony is to be in the middle of that which is dark and that which is light, and not be on more than one side. What is it to be in abundance? It's to know that there's an infinite power and presence that when we tune into it and we tap into that divine rhythm, everything becomes ours. We did this in class the other night, I believe, where we were looking at this idea of abundance. And people were saying, I want more money, I need more money for this, I need more money for this. And then I led them through a little bit of a guided type of process. And when we were in that process, I then stopped and brought them back to surface and said, are you missing anything in this moment? And the answer was no. Everything that we desire in any moment is already with us. The second we put off and we look to the future for something, we've come out of joy. We've come out of love. We've come out of harmony. It doesn't mean that we accept the negative, but we honor it and know that it's a part of life. And we also know that there's another side that we can turn to. So there's always going to be balance. Why is there always going to be balance, but yet it's moving us? We have this one moment of joy, we have this one moment of pain, this moment of joy, this moment of pain. Why is that? It's because without the stimuli, we can't use our creative power to create a new desire from which to go forth into the world to create. So when we talked last week and we talked about this idea of channeling our creative energy, we've got to have something that is really high and inspiring that we're channeling that energy into. And when we're lost in that moment, channeling our energy, because I don't know about you, but when I was involved in projects in the corporate world, or when I'm involved in building Agape, there are challenges and there are successes. But in every moment, when you understand there's a balance and it's a part of the process of growing and becoming more, you accept both of them and you just cruise through it. You don't get stuck in the muck. So many times we get stuck in this idea of muck. And what we do is we allow abstract ideas, linear thought patterns to come in and take over our thoughts, take over our lives. Well, this is where I'm headed. This is what my past has been. And we get stuck in that. And when we are stuck there, we tend to what? Create more of that. So the idea is, how do we get from that linear being stuck into the new idea? And I will share with you, joy happens at a deeper and deeper and deeper level in our humanness when we're connected with each other, when we are in a state of community and oneness. I can't tell you how many individuals this week that I would talk to and do some form of counseling and prayer, and they were going through some form of trauma in their lives, and the only reason the trauma was there is because they forgot who they were. They forgot their divine essence. And what happens through the form of affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment, or just simply someone seeing truth, the door breaks open and the past is let go, the fear is let go, because now they can see the truth. That's what community is about. So there is a greater joy in community. Why? Because there's a bigger energy, right? There's a more of a deeper connection. So right now in this room, there's a connection happening here, whether you feel it or not, because the energies that are here coming out of me, coming out of you, and spreading to each other, they're intertwining, entangling, because there's one purpose. There's one purpose, and that purpose is to grow and support ourselves and each other, to uncover our magnificence, to discover the power within us so that we can consciously create a life that is beyond even our dreams of today. You see, this power within is the greatest single thing that we come to realize. And we come to realize it in silence. When we can let go in meditation, and we can be in that pace and lose the feelings of our body, lose the limits of our mind, and get into full state of allness, we realize at that moment nothing can stop us. And then we plant and we use the power that is within us to direct the power of the law that's within all of us, the same power that created the universe, to create our lives in the direction that we want. It is not until we can connect with something greater than us than we have the power, that we will have that life. Because there was a long time that there was this idea of the power of positive thinking. Anyone been a part of that? I was. But you see, just because the positive thinking, it didn't work as well. Because what was the power behind it? But when you identify yourself with the aspect that there's an infinite power and presence that is always there, always willing to participate, it does it. And this power doesn't care about things that get in the way. It just goes. So this morning, as I was sitting in the hot tub contemplating the talk today, what do you think came to me? But an analogy about surfing. So let's just create this picture, okay? Picture the ocean as the allness of God. It's infinite, it's everywhere present, it's always present, right? The ocean, we can all grasp that, right? Now you are the individualization of God, and you are the wave. So you're a wave on this vast ocean that's never ending, and you're going high, you're going low, you're always moving. So when I went surfing for the first time last year, and what my instructor said was, you've got to become one with the wave. Identify with that wave, get into it. So when I popped up my first time on the board and I was so immersed, there was nothing but being a part of that wave. And so I rode. And it was great. I got all the way in on my first ride. That was a pure state of joy. Now the next ride, when I popped up, I said, oh my God, can I really do this? And the next thing you know, I go flying off the wave. What did I allow to happen? I allowed my linear thought to come into my mind, which shifted my experience, and my body responded. Got up the next time, went halfway in until I saw this rock under the water, this coral. I said, oh my God, the coral's there. Boom, I dived off the board the other way so I might not hit the rock. Here's the interesting thing. The wave did none of that. The wave, because it was in that state of being a part of oneness, just kept moving. It didn't care if there were coral reefs. It didn't care if there were surfers. It didn't care if there were sea turtles. It didn't care. It just moved through life. It was living in a state of pure connection and pure joy. So our life is like being the surfer on the wave, but we've got to get into the wave consciousness. A consciousness that doesn't fear. A consciousness that no matter if there's surfers on our right, surfers on our left, we just go and ride because the wave is going to take us. Because remember, the infinite ocean, there is nothing that can counter it. It is all powerful. It is all knowing. It is everywhere present. It's only when we go to our linear thought that we put up an obstacle, we make it real because we're thinking about it, and now we've got to do this whole big thing to overcome it. The obstacle was self-created in our own minds. And how do you eliminate an obstacle that's self-created in your own mind? You shift your thought, you shift your mind. See, the key to creating our life is to be clear in our thought. And you've heard me say this, those who've been around for a while have heard me say this over and over and over again. Focus on only what you want. On only what you want. When people come up to you and they want to focus on something different than you want, don't go there with them. Say, thank you, but let's switch the subject. I do that all the time in conversations. You can talk to, there's a few people in here that I coach on a regular basis because they're on my board and they're volunteers. They will tell you, I don't want to hear too much of a story. I only want the story to the degree that it gives me the clarity so I can know what to pray for. So I can know what to hold for people. Because the idea is, if you hold on to the story too long, you're just going to recreate the story over and over and over again. But the story's there. The experience of the past is there because it gave us a lesson. It gave us the clarity. And from that, now we burst off. That story is the point where we spring up onto the surfboard. Because before we had fallen off. Oh, I like this. The surfing story is getting deeper here. So we have the experience, we see the obstacle, we fall off, we realize it was our thinking and believing it was an obstacle. Now we're back out in the ocean, we pop up, we get to do it again. What's so great about being God in expression is we get infinite pop-ups. Or you could say we get infinite do-overs. We are never limited, no matter how old we are, what our sexuality is, what race we are, what our education was, what our abundance is. No matter what, we get in unlimited, infinite pop-ups. We can always begin again. We can always begin again, and that's where it's that one new thought. All it has to do is shift a thought pattern 1 degree. If you shift your thought process 1 degree today, 1 year from now, you will be amazed at who you are and what you're experiencing. It's that simple. John DeMartini, when he was talking, he said this when he was 17 and he was on the verge of death. He had no hopes for anything. He was told he would be nothing. He said, I started a mantra that was given to me by Bragg. And the mantra was this: I am a genius and I apply it daily. And every day of his life, he talks about how he's applied that. And this man is a genius. There is no doubt about that. The question is, he took the step to put that thought into mind. So the question I ask you, are you doing that type of thought process? Have you begun that type of thought process? I'm a genius and I apply it daily. I live in the healthy body of a virile 25-year-old male or female, depending on your sex, with phenomenal athletic abilities. I live with loving, caring relationships that support and grow me, that are easy and effortless and fun. I attract to me the type of work that builds my wealth and my ability to serve and give to humanity and to create. You see, you can pick one of those and you will shift your life. If you pick all of those, your life will be transformed. The idea of picking more than one is you're focusing on more than one aspect of life. The one and most important one that I did not talk about was the idea in each and every moment I experience and give and receive more unconditional love than I've yet to even imagine. You see, when we put the intention to be one with all that is, we're saying that our purpose is joy. You see, to live in joy, we have to love, and we have to allow ourselves to be loved. We have to see through the material experience into the divine nature that we are. And sometimes that's not easy. And that's why we come together, to see it for each other, to remind each other so that we never lose sight of that. The whole idea of being here on Sunday and to celebrate is not to celebrate something silly. It's to celebrate the perfection that already exists within us. It's not something we have to bring out. We don't have to become more worthy. We don't have to become more wealthy. We don't have to become more healthy. Because in this very moment, that potential in physical form already exists in our spiritual form. All we have to do is recognize that it is there in spirit, and we live from that. We're living from what? We're living from within. We're living from the power. We're living from the allness of God, and now we're out in the world and we're expressing it, and we say to the world, get out of my way. Don't block me. I'm a tidal wave. I'm a 40-foot wave on the north shore of Oahu, and I'm on the top. And I'm surfing, and nothing's going to get in my way. I'm on the ride of my life. How many people want to be on the ride of their lives? Everybody, hands, wake it up, yes. I know last year I was going to go surfing for the very first time. And my father goes to me, he lives in Maui, he says, are you nuts? He goes, you're 61 years of age. I said, Dad, how many times have I told you this is the body of a 25-year-old stud? And he just looks at me beyond that. And I come home and he smiles and he says, well, did you do it? And I said, yeah. He said, did you make it all the way? And I said, about 15 times. Did you fall? I said, about 30 times. But you see, it doesn't matter if you fall. You see the analogy there? We're going to make mistakes, but those mistakes give us knowledge to ride the next bigger wave. And when we ride the next bigger wave, let me tell you, there's no greater exhilaration. I can remember going, and there were two surfers that hadn't got up there, and I was up. I just come up, and I was going dead toward them. And I remember I did a backflip, you know, the Fosbury type flip that they did, and I did it perfectly, like this, and into the water, and I missed both of them. What a rush. You see, you can make a mistake in life and have a great time doing it. And you see, when you're conscious of it, it's about joy. And see, joy for me is not doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Joy is about being a risk taker and doing new things and doing them so I can do them better and better and better and have a deeper and deeper and deeper experience of it. I'm always pushing myself to that experience. I'm not doing it for any other reason because it brings me joy. You see, if I got complacent, which I've allowed to happen in my life, I was bored. And I was bored. I had some crazy thoughts. I was not a fun person to be around. And so I realized that why would I keep myself stagnant? I wasn't meant to be stagnant. And when I found this teaching, this idea of new thought, it lifted me. It gave me such juice, because I found that even though I couldn't believe it in everything, I could believe it in some things. And as I got the belief of some things and I did them, I could believe in new things. And then I could believe in greater things. And I realized that was the natural way of living from the power within. The power within is something we build. It's like building muscles in a gym. 1 minute we're doing 15-pound dumbbells when we're doing our curls. The next day maybe 17. The next day 20, 25. And every time we're doing it, the muscle gets bigger because the muscle's being fatigued. Well, when we use our minds and expand our minds, the same thing happens. We build a greater mind muscle, a greater connection to inner power. And when we connect to that inner power through a combination of meditation, and I'm not going to say prayer, I'm going to say seeing life through God's eyes. Seeing life through the eyes that know no limitation. See life through the idea that everything is God in expression. There is no right or wrong. Just seeing the magnificent power. Take a look at a tree with the leaves. You can't count the leaves. That's only one tree. And God knows how to do that infinite times. And I'm one with it. Remember, that's the ocean. I'm a wave in that ocean. And from the ocean, I draw all of my power. And as I tap into that ocean more, I can draw more of that power. So I can be a little wave this high, or I can be a tsunami 120 feet high. I can ride my surfboard on the biggest wave known to humanity, and I can be in a state of pure, pure, pure bliss. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of having rubber duckies strapped around my arms. I would much rather be on a surfboard. And what I've come to understand is this is the balance of love and law. So when we look at this idea of joy and the power within, love is that which sets the law in motion. So the power within us is the law. It is that force that has created the universe, that is everywhere present, always present. It is always there, ready for us, okay? It's ready for us. That's the power within each of us. And then the love is, what are we putting into that power? How are we putting into it? And we're going to over and over again put that power in until we develop the belief, the conviction, the emotional desire. And the law says, oh, that's what he or she wants. And boom. It's our experience. But you see, we won't even realize we're having the experience because we've already become the man or the woman in the experience. Therefore, it's already ours. By the time we get to the demonstration, we've already got it. We've accepted it. We've become it. The demonstration is secondary. When I got married, I remembered my wedding day was just anticlimactic to the point of getting to the day. Think about getting to a wedding day. I don't know about you, but there's lots of things that go on. To get to that day is a relief. It is a joy. But in that moment, it's just a moment. You see, there's never an end. If there's never an end, that means that joy has the ability to continue to become greater and greater. And here's the thing. We were never meant to settle for only the joy we've got in our lives now. We were meant to have infinite joy and to continue to have that for infinite time. For remember, the divine is infinite. It is everywhere present. It has always been. It has chosen to come forth and express itself individually as each of us. And as it has done so, then each of us are individualized expressions of it, whereby we are infinite, we are eternal, we will always be becoming more because it is the nature of us, because it is the nature of God. See how logical that was? The linear mind can understand that. We are the nature of God. The problem or the opportunity is that we have to accept that as our nature, and from that we have the power to create all things. The beauty is that we can choose how much, how fast, and when we want to do it. We get to choose that. And only we get to choose that. Our partners don't get to choose it for us. Our parents don't get to choose it for us. Our kids don't get to choose it for us. Here's the kicker. We don't get to choose it for them either. Because if we're choosing something for someone else, then we're not in a state of joy. We're on one side of the coin. If we're choosing it for someone else, then we don't understand unconditional love. If we're choosing it for someone else, we are not living in harmony. If we're choosing it for someone else, we don't understand the power within. For when we understand the power within, we live in a state of pure joy, pure bliss, an inner knowing and peace that radiates the essence, the allness, the perfection of life itself. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.